Coming up on Down Under EV Adventures, it's the new Tesla showroom in O'Connor, and it's a Model Y long-range test drive. Welcome back to Down Under EV Adventures, everybody from wherever you're watching. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get into it. We're going to have a look at the new Tesla showroom in O'Connor, which I hinted at a few episodes ago. I have to say right off the bat, it's a beautiful building. Look at all those solar panels on the roof. Really great to see. Now, we were in Perth because my wife had to get her Atto 3 serviced. And my wife had me in stitches straight away when she said to me, "I think the Tesla logo looks like a uterus." So now I can't get that out of my mind. What do you think? It does look a little bit like a uterus. Anyway, thanks Iris for that image. Now, as I mentioned, it's a beautiful showroom. Here's the new Model 3, which I have to say looks stunning. It reminds me of some of the Volvos from a few years back. Of course, though, I don't like the fact that there's no indicator stalks. Bad move, Tesla. And we were there, of course, to have a look at the Model Y. But I'll get more into the test drive later. I also wanted to mention, in addition to cars, they also had a Powerwall display. Now, as you know, I've got a solar system at home, and we've been thinking about maybe getting a battery. And I did do an interview with my brother, which I give you a sneak preview. Here's some footage of it here. My brother's actually got a couple of the Tesla Powerwalls, and I will do an episode on that coming up where I interview him about that. But anyway, on to the test drive now, which is what we were there for as well, and we're looking at a dual motor long range version. Now straight away I'll just quickly mention the sound system. Now I don't want to get a copyright strike, but I'll just give you a very quick sneak preview of the wonderful sound system. It's the same as in the performance model. That's about all I can show, so I hope that doesn't the copyright strike, otherwise I may have to mute it. But anyway, going to the interior. Now, I've heard there may be a new Model Y coming out, perhaps as early as next year, but I'll talk more about that later on in the video. But other than that, it's the same as it's been for the last few years. So, of course, everything has to be done through the tablet, which I don't particularly like. Now, one thing I will say is I don't think the car was set up properly. Now you can see there's two blue lines here on the screen, which is some sort of lane keeping, lane centering. I did talk to my brother about it because he owns a Model Y, and supposedly the car probably shouldn't have been set up like this for a test drive. Now, so I found I could set the cruise control, but then if I was to turn the steering wheel and it would go out of the lanes, the cruise control would go off. Or, alternatively, the car would actually jerk the steering wheel violently to the left and then the cruise control would go off. Now, there was definitely some issue with the way it was set off, and I did not like it, which meant that I had to drive around then with no cruise control. Now, I drive around with cruise control all the time, even around the city or around town. I just find it's easier. I've just learnt to do it. So it's not a problem for me to do that. And it helps me prevent me from getting speeding fines. Now, I would not be surprised. I'm still waiting. It's been a week since I've come back. I would not be surprised if I still get a speeding ticket in the mail, because it was so easy to speed in this car. Being the dual motor all-wheel drive version, the acceleration was phenomenal. It was almost on a par with the Polestar, which I drove a few months ago. Maybe not quite as much, but very close to it. So, you know, it was a breathtaking performance in the car and driving it around. But I'll talk more about that later. Now, the sales guy, he actually programmed in a route for us to go down to a beach area. So it was a fairly nice drive. And my wife and I were allowed to drive the car without him. Obviously, we had to give our driver's license as security and so on. And if we get any of the aforementioned speeding fines. The reversing cameras you just saw there were excellent. And here's a little bit of a look just walking around the car. So if you're not familiar with the Model Y or Teslas, So it's quite a large car, very spacious. It's not hard to see why it's a popular car because it's just got so much room, and I think it looks quite nice, the styling on it as well. Now let's go inside the car and open up the frunk. Now the frunk is pretty massive. I mean, when you compare that to the Atto 3, that's a decent sized frunk, I have to say. So very, very good. Think you could fit inside there?
Let's try!
You could put a dead body in there almost. Not that I'm advocating that.
No, please.
So of course they call it a trunk, not a... Open. There you go, and it's all automatic. You can see they're pretty roomy. And of course no spare tyre. But lots of room there for wet clothes or charging cables. And you've just got a button here to close it. So what we'll do is we'll just put in Tesla O'Connor and see if that works. Tesla O'Connor. There we go. 6 kilometers. So the map system is pretty good. And it gives you a bit of an overview of it. So there you have the Model Y long range. So I will go through the pros and cons, what I liked about the vehicle and what I loved about it, and you know, the things which I don't particularly like. I'll go through them later on in the video. I will say the handling and the drive were excellent, as they have on just about every Tesla I've driven. They do handle really well, and like I said, there is a reason why they are so popular. They were also very comfortable, so the seats in them are excellent. I have to say, a lot better than the BYD, and my wife was just asking me about them here, and I'm giving her the thumbs up.
Something from the Glovebox. I wonder if it does have the...
It does. Cooling as well.
I want to try this. Can I try it?
I can ask someone. Want me to ask?
Cooling.
So testing out the cooling seats. Can you feel... What can you feel?
Not yet.
Nothing at the moment?
No.
Okay. Feels good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we went back to BYD and tested out the seats there and the cooling feature, which is the first time I've tried that. It was a very warm day actually. I think it was in the low 30s, so you can see I was actually wearing shorts because it was so warm. And we did appreciate actually the physical switches again when we were back. So anyway, but it's time to have a look at the Model Y and what we liked about it. So firstly, the drive, the handling, the performance, all top notch. The acceleration, I should say, was excellent. And they just handle really well, Teslas. Now if you move to the software, the hardware, the tablet, they're all top notch as well. So generally speaking, every time I've ridden a Tesla or driven one, I've always been very impressed by the tablet functions and the software, even though I don't particularly like to use it for everything. Comfort, well, I already mentioned the seats, very comfortable, you know, it's roomy and spacious as well, so, you know, it's a good option for a car, and it's definitely still on my list. Finally, the range and economy. So, yes, Tesla are at the top of their game still in terms of, you know, the sort of range you will get from all their models, and, you know, with their charging network as well. That's also excellent. So, you know, it is still a very compelling package, but there are things I don't like. So moving on to my dislikes. So neither my wife nor I really appreciated having to use the tablet for everything. And I think we've seen a sort of trend away from cars just having the tablet. So some brands, I think VW is one of them, but a few others as well, they're starting to put some physical switches back in the car, and why not? They work, they're easy. And, you know, I mean, just, you know, removing the indicator stalks, which Rumoured is going to be on the Y as well, so the next model may not have indicator stalks either. Yeah, if I'm going to get the Model Y, it will be the last one with the stalks, I can say that for sure. Well, this may be controversial, and some people may disagree, but I think they're actually starting to look a little bit dated. So no matter how much I love the new shape of the Model 3 there, I still think the interior is starting to look a bit old now. Personally, I think they really need a bit of a shake-up, but look, I doubt that's going to happen. And, it's probably a little bit subjective too. However, there's a lot of new models coming out from China, and they just look fantastic. And I think, they're really showing up Tesla. So I think Tesla could be in trouble in the next couple of years. So I really dislike this lane keeping function and the fact that I couldn't use the cruise control. I hope it's really just the way it's been set up. I mean, if you're a Tesla owner and you know more about this, please let me know in the comments. I find it hard to believe. When I've driven Teslas before, I've had no issues using the cruise control, so obviously there's something going wrong here. But anyway, I definitely did not like it, but I don't particularly like any lane keeping functions. I think they're all pretty crap and they all need work. And very quickly, lastly, there are better off-road options. Now this one's very subjective. However, for myself personally, I wouldn't mind something a little bit more hardcore for doing off-road work. And there are some newer models coming out from BYD and other brands which may be more suitable. That's not to say I've removed the Y off my list. It's certainly still on my list of cars to buy because I do believe it's a very good car. Now, I did mention earlier in the episode about rumours of a new Model Y coming out. Now, BYD were the ones who actually told me that, not Tesla itself. However, Tesla did tell me that most likely the stalks will be removed from future Model Ys. So just be wary of that if you're considering buying a Tesla and you're like me and you think removing the stalks was a bad idea. Well, it looks like they're going to continue on with that theme, which I think's a bad move, and they're going to lose sales. So to summarise, it is a fantastic car to drive, I can't deny it, and I think it's pretty reasonable for the price. It definitely handles fantastic, the all-wheel drive, the acceleration was great. Obviously I couldn't, do a 0 to 100 or anything with the limited time that we had it, but it performs great, the car. So yeah, that was our test drive of the Model Y, and it will still be several months before I change over, so watch this space to see what might be in store. Okay, that's it for today's episode. Thanks very much for watching today, really appreciate it. And as I mentioned, we've got some great content coming up, including the interview with my brother about his Tesla and Powerwall, and also it's coming up to 1 year with my BYD Atto 3. Alright, take care as always, and we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.